What's poppin' world? Back at it again with another video. Y'all tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. Without further ado, y'all have read the title. Let's get right into it. Now, I've been thinking about this for quite a while. This is kind of like one of my old style videos, or really the old style topics I used to pick up on, back in like 2020, 2019 and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a very serious, delicate, sensitive subject. So bear with me if you will. We're going to get through this and y'all be able to understand my full perspective and my positioning on this, right? So just because a person is black does not mean they down with the culture, they with the culture, they for the cause, so on and so forth. Now, let's just get this clear right out the way. What is the culture? What is the cause? What is being down? What are the parameters for being, for the fight, Now, for all people that don't know a lot of history of, the original history of this country. Now, I ain't gonna go too far back, but let's go maybe so far as the Civil Rights Movement, right? So, I guess the biggest misconception that I can see about the Civil Rights Movement is that, every brother and every sister was in lockstep fighting for a brand new day and a new cause, so on and so forth, right? And for the majority, generally speaking, that was the case. But let's not say, because this is where a lot of where these terms derive from. Shucking and jiving, buck dancing, cooning, you feel me? Sellout. It didn't originate in the 21st century, you feel me? This was something that was way before that time. I could say it probably goes back to slavery, right? It could apply, but I'm just talking about coined phrases that definitely originated, I could say, in the mid 1900s, right? So with that being said, the cause was for us to be free, for us to have not only just freedom, because we already had that already, but us to have equal rights, civil rights, not this second-class citizen double standard. And like I said, y'all can do y'all histrionics on the ins and outs, but my point of bringing all this up is to let y'all know that there was some people for the cause, there was some people against the cause, and there was some people that didn't really care about the cause because it didn't impact them individually, right? So, with that being said, hold on, I'm about to go over this little ramp real quick. With that being said, right, there were people back then that really wasn't for the fight. And that being said, a lot of that could apply to today's terms. But far as being in the culture or for the cause, it was for us to gain a little bit more of humanity in this country, right? And in certain ways, we are still fighting for certain, levels of just human respect. Forget privilege, forget equality. We just looking for self-respect and humanity. Treat it like the next person. And honestly, we don't even care about how the next person is being treated. We just want to be treated in a human fashion, right? So, where does that apply today? What is that? What is the point of this video? The point of this video is to differentiate between how we look at just generational culture and how over time the lines could get blurred due to whatever narratives or whatever got spent or whatever was forgotten that didn't translate into the next generation, which makes it harder to break generational curses and things of that sort, right? So, by and large, where we mess up is that all of our public figures all of our successful people that we have at the top, we look at them as they're supposed to carry some moral responsibility to take care of other black people, right? So if you look at all the entertainers, actors, basketball players, football players, rappers, singers, you know, they're expected to be philanthropic and to give back and try to change the hood and try to, you know, but you gotta think about it, really, like in this aspect, right? Most of those fields psychologically conditions you to say, excuse my language, but fuck my people. Because I gotta beat this man to get to where I got to go, right? Because most sports that the black culture resides into, you're gonna see how it's pretty much you versus yourself, right? And for one successful story, you know, can materialize for lots of other people's failures, right? Because there only can be one winner, and there can be as many losers as you can count. But far and few, there only could be so many winners, right? So where we messed up was trying to put the onus on these public figures as if that's their claim to fame was built on that, right? When I feel like it's irresponsible out of us to expect for people to be something that they never cared to become, right? So if you never cared to be, you know, someone that was gonna change your society or change your community, and then you get money, why would you expect anything different for when they become successful? They're gonna just move the same way they were moving before they had the money, right? So here's another thing, something that y'all could really sit down and think about. It's about 20 million black people in this country. Do you think that all 20 million black people has experienced some form of racism? Let's be real. Every single black person? No. So what does that tell you? There's going to be certain black people that just can't see what the everyday black person is going to see, right? Especially if you was raised in an inner city, you know, and you've been profiled by the police, if you ever been arrested or you felt into, you know, the stereotypes, things of that nature. Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh. This person is freaking driving like a maniac. How about you go get your headlight fixed, brother? All right, my bad, y'all. I'm over here pushing on the freeway and all that. But back to my point. My point was basically saying that there's a difference between black people and niggas, right? Now, here's the controversy thing about black people and niggas. Who are the niggas? The niggas would be categorized in these kind of categories, right? The niggas would be where the statistics will lie at. So if you grew up single mama home, broken home, you know, food stamps, living in poverty, you know, you've been subjected and exposed to a lot of struggle in your life. You got a lot of pain. You feel me? And the pain made you strong, right? So when you go out into the world, your tolerance for BS, you feel me? I wouldn't say it's high, but you can endure BS because you feel like you already went through the hardest part of life already as a young person. So when you become an adult, The things that adulting brings is only just what you learn from your childhood and you putting it together. You have to grow up fast. You know, mama barely paying any bills, can't eat right. You know, I remember, you know, watching TV off of the antenna, eating cereal, dry cereal for lunch. I've had to struggle, you feel me? So the black people, and it's not to say which one is better than which, right? What I am saying is, I feel like we're trying to fight for the same thing, but the solutions in which we go about fighting for it are two different methods. Going back to the civil rights movement, right? You had Malcolm X, you had Martin Luther King. Both of them fighting for the same cause, and yeah, they had differences in ideology. But I'm not going to say there was no internal beef or whatever, but for the most part, they looked at it like, all right, we're kind of fighting against each other because we're kind of undoing the work we're trying to do because they kind of are polar opposites. But to publicly, you know, talk about each other, you know, consistently would then make a person feel like, all right, we're now losing the whole reason of why we're doing this in the first place, right? Hence how the Black Panther Party was dismantled. The federal government couldn't even dismantle the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party dismantled the Black Panther Party with the help of the government. And, you know, if you look into the the documentaries and stuff like that, y'all know y'all black history, y'all would know exactly what I'm getting at. But my point being is that us as black people, as a community, have to stop expecting for other people with the same pigmentation to care about other black people as much as you do. Because some people will sit up there, see somebody struggling, walk right past them. Some people will see somebody hurting. They won't care. They'll close their ears. They'll be like, I don't hear that. I got my own problems. Sometimes we step on each other. You feel me? We step on each other. We undercut each other. The whole crabs in a barrel concept. And I feel like this has been indoctrinated in our culture for a long time, right? And it's about the invisible hand. And I'm going to do a video on the invisible hand. But the invisible hand, right, is pretty much, you know, I'm just going to foreshadow it. How the government creates problems and then also creates solutions so that way they can extract money out of a situation, right? So if I create a problem that affects people, and then those same people, they need a solution, go to the other people that think that they're not the same people, then you're only taking money out of one pocket and putting it in the other, but it's still the same set of pants. So I'm gonna wrap this video up by saying that just some people are just gonna we're gonna have to just not include them, right? Because a lot of black people are Trojan horses. They sit up there, hey, you know, I'm just a person coming in peace. Yet again, Black Panther Party, inside job, and some of the greatest, situations that cause for something to implode is caused by inside jobs, right? Because when they say conquer and divide, the first word is conquer, and then it's divide. It's not divide and conquer. Because when people are united, it's really hard to tear them apart. But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Hopefully y'all liked it. I'm gonna do some more of these. Comment, like, subscribe, leave your thoughts below. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'm up out of here.